Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ralph Casals, your town manager, Town of Cutler Bay. Very excited to have hosting this Protect, Prepare, and Grow workshop in celebration for May, which is the Small Business Month. And it's great to see a lot of folks here in the audience. And we're going to have this meeting is also being recorded through Zoom, and then we're going to be broadcasting out through via YouTube. So hopefully we'll be YouTube sensations here. So we'll see. Welcome. Again, I think it's going to be a three-part meeting here. Before I get into some quick introductions, we're going to have our friends from the Real-Time Crime Operations Center. We're also going to have the Community Affairs Department from Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department as well to talk about crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED. Not septic tank, because we had a fog meeting last week, so it's not about fat, oil, and grease. It's something else here. And then we're going to wrap it up with our friends from TD Bank to talk about some of the financial incentives that they have there as well. But before I start, I'd like to call up a couple of council members we have here today. Just say some short, brief introductions. We have Councilmember Lord. Councilmember
Lord. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ralph. I want to start by just saying how important these workshops are to our local businesses. We had a fog workshop on Friday that I attended. And as a result of what I learned, because you don't know what you don't know until you attend one of these, which is why it's so important for our local businesses to come here. At the end of the meeting, I asked for a smaller workshop for the local businesses so they can get more in-depth learning. And right before this meeting started, I was talking to the gentleman from TD Bank because there were concerns at that workshop about getting some capital for the local businesses. So these workshops are important, and then we can veer off to smaller and more individualized workshops. So I thank everyone for coming here and participating. I'm particularly interested in learning about the crime prevention through environmental design portion of this. I'm a huge proponent of our sheriff's office and everything you guys do to keep us and our businesses safe. So I'm looking forward to seeing that part of the presentation. Thank you again for coming out.
Thank you, Councilmember Lord. And next we'll have Councilmember Ramirez. And just a little fun fact, folks, these individuals have, their full-time job. This is a part-time job for us, but thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend today. So with that, Councilmember Ramirez.
All right. I'm glad you mentioned that. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that because I do have a full time and a half job that my income is zero. But that's okay. That's okay. I love doing it. It's a good thing. I love being here. Love representing this town. It's great that we put on these type of workshops for businesses and for small businesses. Before I get into what I want to say, I got the one clue that's going to make your business successful: customer service. Okay, as everybody knows, customer service has declined to almost zero in just about every business out there. Have great customer service. And once you capture somebody that way, you don't lose them. So that's something to remember. So the portion that I'm going to bring you up about is the financial aspect, the banking. TD Bank is here. Richard, was it Eraluce? Sorry, I was practicing your name and I didn't get it. I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. He's going to go over some things with you about capital, how to get loans, how to invest that money, how to also prevent fraud. And that's the one thing that's starting to hit businesses pretty heavy is fraud. So we're looking forward to seeing what you got to say about that and all the help that you can get. And at some point, hopefully we work out a little workshop for the local businesses in our area to educate you on how to go about getting the loans and the financial backing of our major banks, especially with TD Bank. And we thank you for our relationship as well. Thank you, guys. I'd like to turn it over to our town manager. I don't think he got the hint yet. Okay.
What a tough act to follow. But I think I failed to mention also the Real-Time Crime Operations Center is also operated by Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department, in which they are our police department for the town. I think it's something that we want to certainly expand, and particularly in the times that we live in today. I know, thank you, Leo Roselli and Sergeant Greenbaum for providing us a tour of the Real-Time Crime Center. It was really eye-opening, particularly, all the different access that that business could take advantage of. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and bring up Sergeant Ricky Greenbaum, Daniel Espinoza, and Diana Serta to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm not a podium speaker. I run around, so be prepared. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce my team over here. I'm Ricky Greenbaum. I'm one of the supervisor sergeants at the Real-Time Operations Center. We're a 24/7 operation. Remember that number because we're going to have a little contest in a little bit. And we basically are the eyes and ears of the department. Any emergencies that go out, we're vetting the 911 calls. People always think, what did they do there? Did they just sit and watch cameras all day long? It's much more than that, which we're going to go into. And I'd like to introduce Danny and Diana. Take it over for a second.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Greenbaum. And
You're welcome to my
Am I not?
just in case, I could use this one. All right. Good morning. Thank you for having us. Detective Dan Espinoza from the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, Real-Time Operations Center. We did have the opportunity to have the city manager and other officials from Cutler Bay come to our unit, give them a quick tour and a rundown as to what we do. And I guess what I can start with is very quickly give the locals here an idea of what we do, how we support not only Cutler Bay, but the county and the citizens. And so what the Real-Time Operations Center is a 24/7 unit that it consists of civilians as well as deputies that monitor all the calls that are incoming throughout the county. And really quickly, what we do is we divvy up all of the locations, all of the policing districts. We have our civilian analysts run down the calls, isolating the information, identifying information as to who our deputies are going to be responding to, making contact with. We try to give them an idea as to the criminal past or any information that is of value, try to give that to them before they make arrival to their incident. That way they have an idea of who they're going to make contact with, the circumstances that they need to use or the approach they need to take when they're coming on scene. So that's our main effort, is assisting deputies with their response. Additionally, we have our detectives that support not only the deputies, but investigations through various applications and sources. We're using license plate recognition. We have several throughout the county. Not only are the ones that we use, but we also take part in the ones that other municipalities in Miami-Dade County are using as well. Additionally, we use cameras. We have upwards of 5,000 cameras on a good day throughout the county. Many of them are through county facilities, traffic cameras, and as well as through local businesses, which I'll have Diana Saavedra explain further. Additionally, we have additional tools, gunshot detection in certain parts of the county, where it has an array of microphones that pick up and triangulate gunshots that are occurring, gives the recording. We use that to provide to our deputies to respond in the hope that we are able to come into contact with whatever incident occurred that is firearm related. Additionally, we have other tools, facial recognition, other deep dive open source intelligence applications that we use to assist with our detectives, social media scrubbing, additional threat analysis that we do to generate reports that we provide to detectives and assist with other investigations. Additionally, we have tools that we can deploy, additional license plate recognition, additional cameras to support operations, such as we all know FIFA is coming up. We're supporting that. We're supporting it with tools. We're supporting it with the applications that we provide in the unit. So that's a quick rundown. I normally give a tour at the unit, pointing to different screens and bringing up all the different applications. So it's a little harder to do it when I can't have that at my disposal. But most importantly, it's the camera integration with the local businesses. I'm not sure if you wanted to add to that.
What we like to do to keep it engaged for cops so we get distracted easily, I like to do a couple contests. First off, does anyone remember how many cameras we can view at the Real-Time Operations Center? Several thousand. Oh. There you go. You win the first coin. This is our legacy coin. It's before we became a sheriff's office. It's hard to come by. Don't sell it on eBay. One more last question to keep you guys engaged.
Green.
Close. How many hours a day and how many days a year do we work? She raised her hand. She gets it. You're just shouting out a turn.
I think I actually have one, so.
Don't give away my secrets. Oh, okay. We like to keep things engaged. We are a 80-20 unit where 80% of the time we're going crazy, 20% of the time we like to have fun. It used to be the other way around, but as we bring in more technology, we get busier and busier. I am going to let Diana explain what we're really here for, which is actually how to help the small businesses. Would you like me to grab your your core?
I have it right here.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so for the business cameras, we like to integrate local businesses into the real-time crime center with their cameras. And basically what we do is we donate a core, which is this. This is connected to their servers, and that gives us access to watch like live feeds. And then the business actually gets to decide like which cameras they would like for us to view. So if they have like 50, but they only want to share 20, like that's fine. There's basically, we have apartment complexes, we have Jewish schools, we have like 9 Wawas. We have a lot of businesses already on board. And it's a simple process. So it's basically to have like a collaboration with the community and law enforcement.
There's no cost to the businesses at all. Yes.
I do have a question. How will the businesses will come to this to this program? Do you guys have a flyer? There's a link?
Check the flyers.
I deal with businesses that.
We do have flyers that Amanda's gonna hand out, and my lead asset integration specialist is Diana over here. So the main point of contact will always be Diana. And she does all the integrations and works with Axon Fusus to integrate the business on the tech side of everything. Yes, sir.
Are these only external cameras or they're external and internal?
It's up to the business. We're here to help. It's whatever the business wants to provide to us. We have the Simon Malls. We have a bunch of other schools. It's whatever you choose to give us. We're here to help and work as a team.
And then also just to add to that, just emphasizing that I want to give a misconception that connecting the cameras and bring them, essentially adding the feeds to the real-time operation center, it's not a surveillance type of package. It's not something where we are armed security monitoring the cameras at a particular business. It's cameras that are readily available at our disposal if an incident occurs, or if an investigation was to proceed for one reason or another, or if a camera, one function of any of the cameras is not only what is it designed for, what additionally can it provide. So if your camera is a business located on US 1, obviously it's looking likely at the exterior of your property, but it's also capturing footage on the highway itself. So if an incident has occurred, not necessarily at the business itself, but nearby, well, that footage now gives us an advantage to canvass that particular area of the highway for maybe an individual, a vehicle, anything of interest that we need to possibly review. So just want to emphasize that it's not a surveillance necessarily that we're monitoring, but it's an additional tool, part of our ecosystem to tap into when needed.
In a business incorporate, you need this for me, really? Yeah, for it. Hello, it's not even on. Oh, it is. Hello, there we go. God has spoken. Can a business connect some type of like the banks have the little button if somebody's trying to rob them or they get a note or something like that, they have a little button. Can businesses also do that maybe highlights that screen so you can say, hey, there's an issue going on right here, and then you initiate the response? Even, it could be accidental too, but I'm saying, is this system capable of doing something along that line? So
to that question, sir, this doesn't take away from the already apparatus that you have with the 911 system. This is just an additional layer. So if TD Bank was to have a silent alarm activation, whatever protocols already established, that wouldn't change. Additionally, this platform that all of these cameras get fed into as part of the as part of Axon, which if you're familiar, Axon is the body-worn camera company, as well as tasers and some other devices. It's the same ecosystem. One additional application that we use is object tracking under one of the companies. And so many objects that come from banks that happen to leave its geofence, its area, could get activated. And when it does, actually gets fed into this same application. So it's an additional layer. So to answer your question, not necessarily, but you already still have the existing 911 system. You already have the existing object tracking applications. This is just adding cameras to that.
Any more questions?
I think it's a question really more for the entire team. Thank you, Ralph Casals, Town Manager. We're going through the major construction of our new municipal complex on Old Cutler Road. It's going to be a $50 million complex with a 3-story town hall, police department, as well as a community center, a pool, and a 12-acre park. Does the same process occur for government? I guess once we go through the final stages of getting all the CCTV cameras there, are we able to also take advantage and have that converter box as you're talking about and have that also in the real-time crime center for our municipal complex as well?
Yes, we already have several complexes that are government agencies. We even have the Seaport and other large facilities that integrate with us. What's also really cool about this is, God forbid there is an emergency, we can actually direct the officers exactly to the location. So even if no one on scene can talk, I can see where my officers' body cameras are, and I can let them know, head east, head north, and we could direct them, saving time on responding to an emergency situation. And the best part is it's free. I foot the bill. Just don't tell my husband. Any other questions? On that form, it will eventually connect you to Diana, who can answer any questions, or she can give you our 24/7 number to get in touch with us. And we're glad to help any business you have connect.
Well, great. Thank you, guys. In fact, if you could leave us the box of forms you have there, because I think we have a lot of our code compliance officers here that deal with a lot of the businesses, and certainly it won't be a monumental effort for us to go door to door and provide them that information. Very, very important for them to know because our folks are here. I know Santi's here, Dennis is here as well. So, but thank you.
Thank you. We're here to work as a team. Yeah, here you go. Box.
Thank you.
You can see it, you can sell it on eBay now.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Sergeant, and individuals there. Next, we're going to have Willie Docro here for the Oro. I can't read Leo's handwriting here. Sorry, man. But come on down. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Willie Del Oro. I work for the Sheriff's Department. Been on there for about 31 years. Hopefully, I'll be retiring soon. Been CPTED certified and Florida Crime Prevention Practitioner certified since about 2004. So I've been doing this for a little bit. Today, we're just going to go a little overview on what CPTED is and how it's going to benefit small businesses. So that was not, there you go. No. Okay. That is not the order. Okay. So CPTED uses the environment to reduce crime opportunities. It will deter criminal activity, increase visibility. And one example, we're standing in this room right here, sitting in the room. The ability for us to see out and for the people outside in the parking lot to see in is one of the CPTED core principles. If somebody is about to, or wants to burglarize one of the vehicles outside, he sees that there's people inside that could see them and possibly go somewhere else to commit the crime. So a lot of the CPTED is the visibility aspect of the private section of the business and the parking lot or the exterior community of the property. Okay. Another concept that to promote ownership and control of the property. It will reduce shoplifting, burglaries, vandalism, robberies. by changing the aspect of the physical environment. Okay. See, so there's four aspects of CPTED. First one is natural surveillance. Like I said, the maximizing the visibility to eliminate places where offenders can hide. Natural access control, where you guide people to certain areas and restrict areas that are vulnerable. So it pretty much, you're directing people to certain areas where you want them to go and warning them about areas that you don't want them to go. And if you do have people that go into that area, let's say you have a door that says private and the person's trying to open the door. Obviously, the person has some malicious intent because the door says private. Not everybody should just be going through that door. Okay. Territorial enforcement, which creates through branding, like the Cutler Bay, the signage in Cutler Bay is different than the rest of the county. That's sort of like territorial reinforcement, saying that this is ours, and that's shown to discourage crime. And the most important part of CPTED, none of this would work. It would be the maintenance part of it, which is keeping the place clean, good repair. It discourages crime. It's like the broken window theory. If you have a broken window, you don't repair it, then just more and more damage is going to occur. Okay, so part of it, the natural surveillance, the first core, bright lighting, clear windows. If you have cameras, make them visible so anybody could see that they've been recorded, and eliminating blind spots. So the benefit of that, just increase safety and crime deterrence. Natural access control is the clear markings in a business where the person knows as he's walking towards the business where the entrance is, where not to go, any blind spots, and you kind of making the person enter your property, not with gates and fences, but with more subtle guidance, wayfinding points like signs and shrubs and stuff like that. I'm not much of a presenter, guys. I'm more of the doer. So please bear with me. Like I said, the natural as a control, the principal uses the physical design elements to guide people where they should go. Reduce authorized access, increase safety, clearly define public-private spaces, and it makes the criminal activity more difficult. Clearly marked signs, landscaping, security gates for areas that you don't want people to go. Territorial enforcement and the other one go together. Same concept, clear signs, maintain landscaping, pathways. And this all depends on, obviously, the size of your property, the physical design of the property as it exists. Sometimes that makes implementing some of these things a little bit more difficult. Honestly, then a lot of smaller cities have already incorporated it through their zoning and their permitting process, where these will be reviewed, the plans will be reviewed before the building is even built, and try to design already out the issues that may exist later on as it applies to CPTED. Like I said before, maintenance matters, the broken window theory, any signs of neglect, graffiti, especially graffiti, as soon as it pops up on your wall, you got to remove it. Next thing you know, 2-3 days later, there's another one, then there's another one, there's another one. They like to have their tags being seen. So as soon as you take them out, it kind of discourages them from redoing it. Very important, the trash accumulation. This is the most important aspect of CPTED. If you don't maintain your property, especially with the hedges, the landscaper or the person that does your maintenance, he doesn't care about maintaining a certain height, which CPTED has heights for bushes and heights for tree branches. He's just care that he just makes it nice and straight, right? So years go by and the hedges get higher, higher, and higher. But now it gives somebody the ability to hide behind it after a certain amount of time that it's growing. So kind of the standards for CPTED is bushes no higher than 2 feet. So like that, nobody is able to hide within the bushes. And the tree branches no lower than 8 feet, 6 feet. So like that, it gives you a clear line of sight in the property, whether it's a parking lot or in a residential area, in the community. Parking lot safety is very important. Well-lit parking lot, signage, the handicap, visitors is very important just to guide people safely through your parking lot. Some of the employee practices, you got to report suspicious activity, because if we don't know that it's happening, we can't do any enforcement action against it. So it's very important that the employees and owners notify police that there's something going on. Obviously, cash, if anybody handles cash anymore, you got to make sure that that is done safely, because that you be targeted for that. And opening closing procedures, like employees not closing and opening by themselves, doing certain activities at certain times, which is not safe. Okay, the technological aspects of it, like I said, CCTV systems, we can integrate them. Alarm systems, smart locks. Smart locks, you can assign different PIN codes for different employees and different doors, so they have limited access, and then if somebody went in there or not. Physical keys can be duplicated and stuff like that. So now smart locks, you have more access to control. And motion activated lighting is good. Kind of tells you if there's somebody there, it alert you, plus it saves electricity there. Low costs. Make sure that the light bulbs are good. Bushes, mirrors and blind spots, and signage. Signage is very important to guide people where you need to go. And these are pretty much little bullet points of how CPTED will help small business. Reduces the crime and loss, customer confidence, a nice looking place, well maintained, good signage, stuff like that. People will return. Improve business performance, hopefully. Protects your investment, and definitely build a stronger community between the business and the neighborhood. And not but least, definitely partner with law enforcement. Reports suspicious activities, request a security survey, and business watch is very important. At least not physical meeting, but at least to communicate to network of stuff that's going on in different areas, because what's happening on one side of your city might be happening in another, but if it's not reported, at least you guys are in communication with each other. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm not the. There you go. Any questions, please? Feel free to ask. That's my email. Let me know if anybody's interested in a survey. I will gladly come out and conduct them. All right. You.
Great jobs. For someone who's not good at public speaking, according to yourself, you did a great job. So thank you. I think from the town standpoint, we already incorporate a lot of those design standards already. I'm going to call up a couple of people that didn't know they're going to get called up in a second here. First, I'm going to call up Morelia Rodriguez, who is our planning administrator, that at the planning level, when we get the site plans for these new developments that come here, we already incorporate some of those things. We just didn't know how to call it, right? So I think I want to have Morelia just kind of talk about some of those different items. And then after that, I'll have Santiago Gonzalez come up and talk about our day-to-day code compliance. It's very important. Like I said, the trimming the hedges, the reason why parking lot lights are important, that need to work throughout the night. So with that, Morelia.
Hi, good morning. Hello, good morning. My name is Morelia Rodriguez. I'm from the Planning and Zoning Department. Thank you for your presentation. It's basically a mirror of mine. So I will take it off what we do in the local aspect of our organization here. Like the manager was saying, we incorporate all those crime prevention strategies through our site plan review. Also, we do the review through our department here with Leo. We get the companies and the businesses as well as the development to provide us with the promotions and the securities that we can prevent any future crimes. We do lighting, we use arcades, we do fencing, we do the sidewalks. We also do the signage, the window coverage. Those are things that are already incorporated into our land development regulations here in the town, as well as maintenance. Through our co-compliance officers, we do that as well here. The shrubs not only has to be maintained, also add inside the properties, but as well by the pedestrian passage. That way you can see anybody that will come through our department or their properties. Also, you mentioned I am like you. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm gonna take a good example of our new redevelopment as an example of our internal practice. As you know, many of you find out that the Southland Mall is being redeveloped. They have an immense type of landscaping buffers, which is particularly pretty good for anybody that can hide or commit any crimes. We're trying to promote the buffers type of landscaping that is being installed, the lighting, the pedestrian, the proposed bridge, anything that can prevent all the amenities that will be enjoyable by the pedestrians as well as the transients. We also have the measurements to secure and have a safely Cutler Bay. Hopefully with this, we don't fall behind in the new technology as well as the new designs. The reason why I ask about the cameras is because I personally deal with the new businesses, existing newcomers or anything like that. So that's a great information that I can provide when they come in that they might not know about it so that I can take advantage of your program as well. And there's not much to say about Cutler Bay. We're already doing it. That's all we had to say.
Thank you, Morelia. For somebody else who's shy and speaking in front of the public, great job. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's important. I think one of the takeaways that we have there is that when a new site plan comes in, our folks sit down with our police major and his staff to go through and have like almost like a crime prevention step, review of the site plan. And I think that's very, very important. And so thank you, Maria, for that. I think next we're going to have Santiago Gonzalez, our building code compliance director, come up for a little bit and discuss about some of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis for our enforcement. It kind of ties it in, right? Because I think Morelia gets him at the site plan's approved, and now Santi and his team, will then have to go through all the enforcement efforts. Santi?
Hello. I don't know I was going to speak today. This guy. And this time we're pretty active with our core compliance. Luckily, we have a great relationship with our police department because I only got one guy that does commercial. He's actually back there. And our police department, when they drive around, every time they see like a graffiti or shopping cars or, junk and trash, they'll let us know. And then, we have a great relationship with the business owners. So usually graffiti, as soon as we call the owner, within 24 hours, they take care of it. Because that's one of the things that I always tell them. As soon as, if you see graffiti, we have to address it right away. If not, like you said, more graffiti, and then before you know it, the whole wall is painted. So with the relationship that we have with the police department and the property managers and stuff like that, with a phone call, I tell them, I don't solve anything writing a ticket. If we write a ticket, the ticket takes the time, they'll appeal it or whatever. So the best thing is call them. And as soon as we call them, whether it's hedges or potholes in the parking lot, like I said, mattresses, all those things. So in this city, in this town, we're pretty active taking care of those things. And again, if it wasn't for the police department, Too hard. One guy doing all the commercial properties, US1 and Oak Color is too tough. That's it. If I would have known, I would have worn a jacket like you.
Thank you, Santi. That's the best way to prepare is tell them 3 minutes ahead of time, right? Right before. But I think it's important because we have a great relationship. Cutler Bay is unique, as we mentioned, that Miami-Dade Sheriff is our police department, and we have a great neighborhood resource unit officers, right? I always call them NRU officers that work hand in hand with code compliance. And I think if I had to sum up, what Santi and Dennis and the NRU folks do with all our commercial business, it's relationships where you can pick up the phone. We don't want, I mean, I don't get any benefit of giving somebody a $500 ticket for the parking lot lights that are out throughout the night. I just want to get it fixed. So I think that's important for us to get those types of relationships. I think that's the kind of establishment that we have here for the last, we just turned 20 years old. So thank you with that. I mean, I think it's a great recap of all the different things that we can provide through the sheriff's office and through CPTED and design different departments. So next, I want to get you to the financial side of it, right? Because when you do have Santi or Dennis visit your site and you have to go and spend some money and do some enhancements or maybe expand your business to Cutler Bay, we have our friend Richard Aruli, butcher your name too, but from TD Bank, who is our local bank. They have a local branch here in Cutler Bay, and they do a lot of work with the community as well. So Richard, if you come up.
Right. Good morning, everybody. While listening to all the presenters today, one thing stood out to me, and it's all about partnership. Partnership with different presenters and different technology. And to bring it all in, we'll talk a little bit about today, the access to capital. And what that basically, from our lens, what we look for small business owners that are either planning in the planning stages of starting a business, or someone that's been in business for 5 to 7 years, or someone that's been in business longer. There's different programs that we offer based on the tenure, but there's a lot of resources and a lot of things. I was speaking to the town manager before the event started, and there's so many things out in the internet that looks very lucrative, and for folks that are trying to access capital quickly, it may sound good at the time because yes, you'll tap into some money, but it may not be the best option for the business. So with today's presentation, we're just going to go over a few bullet points from a lending standpoint. Well, that's me there, Richard Araluce. Araluce, it all depends, but it's okay. So we'll talk about the 5 C's of credit. And this is what we're looking at when we're talking to a small business owner in any of the stages of lending. So the 5 C's of credits are character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. And we'll go over a high-level overview of what are those things are and how would that affect anybody from becoming a potential candidate for capital. So we'll start with character. And what happens in this stage is we're determining a couple of things: integrity, past credit history, business and professional, personal credit reports. We'll analyze, the trade and the supply, where the individuals getting their merchandising, or, some of the other businesses that they use to operate. So some of those things, a lot of folks may think they're not relevant, but they are from a bigger lens. And when we're taking applications or looking at a customer, inputting an application, those things become factors for us, which will in turn turn into what we call a risk rating. But we'll get into that a little bit more into that towards the end part of our presentation. Now, for every loan that we do need a personal guarantee. And this is someone that's responsible for the business that will guarantee that they're going to be financially responsible for making the payments and for also managing the day-to-day of the business. For most lenders, anybody that has 10% of ownership or greater, they have to guarantee the loan. So they have to participate in when they guarantee the loan, they have to obviously go through the 5 Cs of lending, which is the credit aspect and other risk ratings. There's businesses that only have one owner, and those are pretty straightforward. We'll just look for the 5 risk for that personal guarantee individually. But the next part, capacity. Capacity is a very interesting one. This is where we'll determine where the business has the ability, whether it's new or an existing business, to support whatever loan amount they're requesting. We get sometimes customers that need, $500,000 in capital, but from a lending standpoint, it's not a realistic number for the business because they're not receiving enough receivables to support such a big loan and exposure. So we'll look for the primary source of repayment, which is, do they have a specific vendor that they're looking for or they're working with, and how are they getting paid? Character is an interesting one. We don't lend to just anybody. We do, just like the police department or anybody else, we do look into each guarantor. So what that basically means, we'll do a query on the individual, and if they have any extensive priors when relating to financial crimes, it's possible that we may not have a program for that individual or those individuals. A lot of folks may not, didn't know that that was a factor, but that is a very big factor from us. Capital. So what we do is when we're looking at capital, we want to know how much skin is in the game for each owner. What does that mean? Does this individual have some of their personal assets? Are they going to put, any real estate, any tangible collateral to guarantee the loan? This usually happens in this stage where the business may not have enough revenue or may not be new enough, but it may make sense for someone that's trying to purchase an equipment, for example. That's a collateral. That's an asset that we'll be able to use. And we have different programs available for those type of lending needs. Alternative assets are, any receivables for businesses that are in the import and export industry. So those folks, we'll look at their financial statements and see what are their receivables, the things that are revolving that are also considered into their capital and their skin in the game. Now, collateral, we can use anything from cash, we can use property, personal or business property if they own the location. Now, by doing so, the guarantor will be pledging those assets as a collateral. So if things go south, it's something to bear in mind. There's usually other programs that we'll like to talk about before we start pledging anything for access to capital for most businesses. But it's something that may work for some businesses. Now, the conditions are something that we also use as a contributing factor. And the reason behind conditioning is, nobody prepared for COVID-19. And, in those times, it was very difficult for most businesses to operate or to pay their overhead costs. But it was a factor because most businesses had to either scale down on their productivity or they had to, shut their doors down for a little bit of time. So we look at those type of things, what's going on in the environment, what's going on, in the government, to determine, if the plan is something that would be readily available and something tangible and realistic for most businesses. All right, we'll get through that. So one thing that I want to emphasize on, there's a lot of situations where I've seen that folks, they look for resources outside of, traditional banking, lending products. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing but what you got to look at is basically, how is that structured? Because that can fail your business. There's a lot of folks, I don't know if you guys heard of hard money loans. which are private lenders that, yeah, they give you access to capital, but the interests and the terms are very, very, very aggressive. And that's a nice word for the terms, but it could potentially fail the business very quickly because the terms are not something considerable. But if you're getting funding from friends or family, make sure you discuss, the loan, if it's a gift, a donation, or a loan repayment, make sure that the terms are extremely clear. Don't sign it just because it's in front of you. Understand it, and if you don't understand it, I would recommend to meet with somebody that's a little bit more fluent with lending and that type of banking jargon or language. We can look at it. How and when the loan should be repaid. A lot of these, hard money loans, they give you the money and they want the money back within a certain period of time. And if you pay it beforehand, there might be some severe penalties that they'll charge you. So make sure we're self-aware of those things. That would be something that I would highly recommend against, those hard money loans. Let's talk about conventional banking loans. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the pros and the cons that, we usually see. So, some of the pros are, we offer a range of products to small business, from anywhere from credit cards to business loans and even mortgages if you want to buy a commercial property. Some of the cons is that it's not a loan that would, close in 2 days. It takes some time. We have to validate some of the financials through different resources. When we look at tax returns, we usually ask for transcripts. That may take some time considering, the workload of the IRS. The banks traditionally offer lower rates than other lenders. That's another pro. If you bring a checking account along with the loan, you'll get a relationship discount. At least that's how it works with TD Bank. I don't know about other banks. I couldn't attest for that. And you'll have a local face when you're scaling your loan, so you can talk to someone individually, locally, and they'll be able to answer any other questions that you may have around that. Some of these other loans, you have to call a certain phone number and it's someone who knows where answering the phone. So you really don't have access to a local person. So some of the loans that we do, let me take it back. So we do lines of credit, and a line of credit is basically, think about it like a credit card. You just don't have a physical card. You move the money from that product into your operating account, and that's where you use the funds. These are considered short-term usage, so you shouldn't use a line of credit to buy something that's going to take you years to pay off. That's not what the product was designed for. It's usually to cover payroll, purchase inventory, unexpected, expenses are typically the ones that would be the best product for the lines of credit. Commercial mortgages, if you're looking to buy a property, there's an abundance of programs that we have internally and also that we partner with the Small Business Administration that we can offer our customers. We have equipment financing. So if you're a business owner and you need to buy a forklift or, a flatbed or something, we do offer products for those. Depending on the actual product, there's some that we offer 100% of the financing when it comes to equipment, as long as it's new and it meets certain criterias. We also cover some of the taxes and the tag and transfer and a lot of those expenses. If you're looking to acquire a business or buy a business from somebody else, we do have programs available for that. Those are a little bit more extensive because you have to work with the seller and they have to provide the financials of the business to make sure it's something that we can support based on their selling price. Term loans are, typically products that we offer for you want to liquidate a bill or something, a car that you want to purchase for the business or refinance it through the business. And they're term loans for, whatever term, 5, 7, 2 years, whatever it is you're looking for. We do have specific programs for healthcare practitioners, doctors, veterinarians, all types of MDs. And we have a specific department, our healthcare department, that would take care of some of those things. The next thing I want to talk about is the small business guarantee. Now, one thing I'm extremely proud of is that we've been the #1 small business administration, the SBA lender, for 8 years in a row. So we work hand in hand with the SBA, and we do provide an abundance of resources for customers that are looking for a specific small business administration loan, or they just don't qualify conventionally. And then we'll tap into the small business administration and provide funding for some of those customers. It's one of the things that we have the resources. Now, the cons with the small business administration is that they usually carry a higher interest rate. Why? Is because the bank, the lender's assuming 50% of the exposure, and the small business administration is assuming another 50%. So we charge our interest for lending the money, and then the small business administration is going to charge, margin for also exposing some of those government assets. But it is a resource, and it's way better than any of the traditional, hard money loans that some people, unfortunately have to access. Some of the most popular programs of the Small Business Administration are the SBA 7A loans. They offer a wide variety of different products, anywhere from, real estate to purchasing your commercial property, line of credit. And then we have the 504 loan, which, these are for more longer terms. And these are some of the most common ones. There's still an abundance of loans that the SBA offer, and we have access to those programs, being the #1 SBA lender. From a lending capacity, that's, pretty much what we have for access to collateral. Now, I did know that the town manager wanted me to talk about a little bit of, the financial fraud risk. Now, we do have specific workshops available for that, but some of the high level things that we talk about in those programs is, how to protect yourself from, bad actors. A lot of the technology that was talked about this morning was phenomenal. I was listening to some of the presenters, and wow, what a partnership. But we have anywhere from, our bushes. We're looking at the bushes that, they have to be a certain height because bad actors may hide behind that. So that was also heartwarming to hear. But to bring it back, we do have, programs around how to prevent elderly exploitation, how to protect yourself against, day-to-day transactions that folks might be using some type of skimming device when you visit an ATM, what to look for in an ATM, what, to make sure it doesn't have any external different things that they're gonna tap into your information and steal your information. We do know that there's a lot of, based on what we're getting from our crimes prevention team, is that there's a lot of nefarious skimming messages that are going out, smishing, phishing. There's so many things out there that they disguise themselves as being a legitimate source. Hey, this is your bank. We notice a transaction, click here to confirm. And it's really not what the bank does. So our goal is to make sure that we educate on what is a legitimate, type of message that the bank sends you, which is basically, in short term, we would never ask anybody to confirm their account number. We have that in front of us already. So I'm not going to call a customer and say, hey, what's your account number? I have that in front of me. Or PIN. It's something that we as bankers, we don't know that, and we would never know what a PIN is, what a password is of a customer. So a lot of folks, get it all the time. Just recently, my dad got a call from the IRS that he owed some money, and that was obviously a bad actor trying to, get my dad to sink into, and my dad was very nervous. He's like, hey, the IRS is calling me. I'm like, no, Dad, they would never call you. You'll probably get a letter in the mail and other ways of communicating. But, for the elderly community, they're potentially the people that become the most common victims when it comes to these things. So I usually have a presentation in a deck for the what we call the SAFE Act, which is, prevention, fraud prevention and education. But I'll share that with the city and the town manager so we can, align ourselves to, provide some of those workshops in the future. Any questions? No? Right. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Richard. In fact, I was thinking about a question that was coming up. I mean, a lot of questions that I always get from small businesses, I have this great idea, right? How do I start it, right? So I always tell people, look, start with your local banker, right? I mean, we're TD Bank. I know you guys offer the service. So you can kind of look at Ralph's, greatest idea of, widget company, right? Where you guys can help me walk through a business plan and do the different finances and what have you. So I think that's important because it's usually intimidating for folks to come into a bank, right? So we want to make sure that those are the kind of services that I know that we have the relationship with TD Bank. You guys have been our bank since we've incorporated. So thank you for that. And yeah, we will take you up on your offer. We have a really great, robust, active adult program that we have some of our seniors that we have that fall for those IRS scams or what have you. So thank you. So it looks like, today's been like kind of that journey, right? We started off with the Real-Time Crime Center. We started off through the environmental design, showed you what we do in the town, and then kind of wrap it up with, TD Bank. So on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, unless there's any other questions, I mean, thank you, folks. I mean, again, this meeting is being recorded. It will get broadcast out through our communication manager. Thank you, Dan. Right there's Dan back there, the town clerk's office, and Rod Gibson, our communications manager. We're going to be pushing this out through Zoom. So again, on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, thank you everyone for attendance. Take care.